Hey guys, it's Jessie Rhines, yoga therapist, Evolutions. Thinking about all of you. I want to read a passage from the Book of Awakening, Mark Nepo. And this is a passage from just a few days ago that I found very apt. I knew when I read it that it would be my choice for this Mindful Monday. And then we'll work with a meditation combined with a yin posture. This is from August 29th, for those of you who have this book. It's called Live Your Worries Through. During my struggle with cancer, the endless medical gauntlet of going through procedures and tests and then waiting for the results gave me a lot of practice in dealing with worry. I quickly realized that fear gained its power whenever I would leave the moment at hand, to imagine bad things descending in the future, like pain and loss and grief. Even when realizing this, I was hard-pressed to stop it. And soon I discovered that worry was the mental fear echoing, the replaying in detail of all the bad things that might or might not come into being. The mental echo of fear. Finally, through exhaustion, I dropped my fear and worry for a moment and found that I landed back in my life as it truly was, laced with difficulties and joys alike. I found that the moment I was living, no matter my circumstance, was the only safe place. From here, I could truly reach for others whose love and care fed me. In large measure, it was the moment after fear and the reaching for others after worry that kept me well. So, this is a message that we have heard before. This is a message that we will hear again. This is one of those old teachings that we all must remember and remember and remember again and again. It's nothing new. It's this concept that is even cliche if we're not careful to come into the present moment, to return to the present moment. And what I like about his story is how transparent he is with the struggle of being elsewhere. For him, sheer exhaustion let him return to the moment. And perhaps the best we can do in times of strong worry is to return again and again and again to that kind of an exhale and to the physical body. And yes, yoga helps us do that. So I am going to recommend a yin posture for tonight. You can change it up and do any yin posture you'd like that's double-sided. I'll be working with sleeping swan posture tonight. And it's the yin version of our pigeon pose. So those of you that know vinyasa yoga can simply find what you know to be pigeon, but we hold it for longer. So I'm looking at my timer, and I'm coming into this shape that brings my heel either rather close to my groin, my back leg is behind me. Instead of tilting onto a hip, I want to square up as much as possible. And it might be that I don't feel this stretch very much, so I wiggle that foot away from me a little bit or a little bit more, whatever feels good. And you'll know what works for your body on this particular day to really feel a stretch through the glute, through the external hip, and And then you may stay up, or you may slowly wander down to a bolster. You may wander down to forearms. You may wander to something where the head is supported, or to the floor. While you're in this shape, I'll be talking with you. You're welcome to close the eyes. You're welcome to let the head fall. And I'd like for you to take at least 3 breaths where your exhale is long or heavy, and where you're releasing as much as you can through the jaw, through the face, through the hands, through the feet, through the places where you feel this stretch. As many of you may know, in Yin, classically, we hold these poses for at least 3 minutes. And that's what we'll do tonight. Just a little more than 3 minutes on each side to give us transition time. Really settling into it first. And what I'd like for you to do is to imagine worry. It might be a color, a texture. It might be an actual image of something you have been specifically fearing. Or it might be more somatic, more sensate, something that you are aware of in the body, a tightening of chest or jaw or anything else, a swirling of stomach. And I'd like for you to practice feeling that fear, that worry, that very natural experience that every human knows, that every human that has ever been born, that has ever walked the planet, has known. And for just some time, I'd like for us to turn a compassionate eye or ear towards this experience, getting just a little better at sitting in the fire, one might say. A little better at being with what's happening. Satya. Satya is like truth with the present moment. And then I'd like you to use, again, long or slow or maybe ocean breath, Ujjayi pranayam, exhales. Just to see if you can soften the edges of that worry, or watch that color or that image dissipate or leave the body through the breath. This is not the same as a rejection or a flinging. It's not an exorcism, if you will. It's a compassionate look at what is, and then an invitation to use the natural releasing of the body, of the breath, to bring you back, as Mark Nepo has said, to the moment that's happening now. Feeling the parts of you that are not fear. Feeling the parts of you that can soften. We're almost to our last few breaths. Let's use those last few breaths to clean out this side. To hear the sounds that are coming through your ears. To feel the mat or floor underneath you. you take that last exhale, just let it be a release of all the tensions you can find before we then come out. Coming out of Sleeping Swan, you might need to come up slowly. You might wish to kind of just lean onto that hip and bring your back leg around and play with a seated. Posture. You might notice differences from side to side. Others of you may very much appreciate coming to dog to feel those differences from side to side, so you simply lift. Especially with the eyes closed, you may notice the experience of one side of the body not yet swanned, and the other side having received the benefits of the pose. That can be a really interesting time in between these two sides of a yin pose. And then when you're ready, you'll come into that shape on the other side. Again, taking your time to come into it, taking your time to feel. It's quite different because this is the beginning of a pose, not the end. And then coming down gently, kindly, slowly. I'll say a little less on this side, and we'll work with that same concept, being with the worry, and maybe a little longer on this side since we've already located that worry. We'll really work to just find the exhales and be in the present moment. You might be called to really watch a release of the tension, fear, worry, in any way that makes sense. You might be called to be very present with the moment that's happening right now. Or perhaps there's some place where those two exercises meet for you. I'll watch the time and practice with you. As long and slow as you can get that breath. To bring you to the now. The idea here is that all of the things which might or might not occur are not as worthy of your attention as is this beautiful current life that you are living. Particularly in a pose like this one, the long exhales, and perhaps every now and then a sense of fascial release, a sense of dropping deeper in on a muscular level, can really be a beautiful metaphor for delivering you, setting you down into this present moment, even if that happens 12 times or 100 times. You can always let the arms come underneath you, like you're snuggling yourself. You can let one temple or the other come to the earth. Any adjustments you need to that can help you release these last several breaths. Let's take 3 together. I can hear sounds of my neighborhood, jazz, birds. Perhaps you can hear sounds of your neighborhood or your room or your home or your breath. And the idea is we let them come and we let them go, and we are awake for them. This last breath we'll take together, and then again we'll slowly come on out. Again, either to that hamstring stretch, sitting straight, or to downward dog. I encourage you to do whatever you did on the other side, because that'll let you really experience the difference. That will let you compare, is the word I was looking for. Taking as long as you'd like. And at some point, joining me again in a comfortable seated position. Perhaps you'd prefer Shavasana, always a beautiful choice. And I'll just invite us to join the hands at the heart center, dropping the head, and perhaps being clear if there's an image or a word or a practice, like the exhale or a release of a certain part of the body, that you would like to bring with you off of the mat. And I will end with my normal prayer. May this practice be meaningful. May this practice bear fruit. And may the fruits of our practice benefit all beings everywhere. The light in me honors the light in each one of you. Namaste. I will see you back here on Monday. Please be well. Please stay on the mat as long as you'd like. Return as often as you can. And remember that the big yoga, the real yoga, is to work with these concepts in your living day-to-day time. Be well.